Hey folks, a lot of us are still seeming to have trouble with our factoring. So I just wanted to go through one more video example and see if I can help you resolve that issue. Here's our question. X squared minus x minus 12 equals 0. So the first thing, the x squared tells us that most likely we started off with two factors here. So let's just map out parentheses for those two factors and make sure that we make those equal to 0. Now, the fact that we have x squared as a simple expression means that we no doubt had x and x as the original components of those two factors. Now things get a little more interesting. Minus 12, we ask ourselves the question, what two numbers when multiplied together, could give us minus 12? Obviously, the absolute numbers that could give us 12 would be 2 and 6, 1 and 12, 3 and 4. And we have to decide which of those would work. Well, 2 and 6, we ask ourselves what's the difference between those terms, and we would come up with a difference of 5. 5 is not our multiplier of x here, so that doesn't work. So we go on to 2 and 6, difference of those two numbers or those two factors is 4. Again, it doesn't work. 3 and 4 have a difference of 1. Bingo, we're on the right track. So we write in 3 here and 4 here. The order doesn't really matter. Now, we have to decide on signs. Because it's negative 12 or minus 12, obviously one of these numbers was a negative. If we ended up with a negative x, that means the larger number was negative, because the difference, or the sum of the two numbers rather, was a negative 1. So, in this case, that makes 4 our candidate for being the negative and 3 the positive. So those are our two factors. The last stage, of course, is that we have to take x plus 3 and say that must be equal to 0, or x minus 4 is equal to 0. Now, how did we know that? Well, we've got two numbers multiplied together giving us 0. The only way we can end up with a product of 0 is if one of our factors was 0. So that means one of these two must have been 0 in order to give us that final product. Okay, so if x plus 3 is equal to 0, that means that x could have been equal to minus 3, or x was equal to, well, if x minus 4 was equal to 0, I think most of us would be able to figure out that x in that instance would have had to have been 4. And that's how we perform our factoring.